Tottenham do indeed get battered everywhere they go, and North London is again very much red. Hello everyone, my name is Tabs and welcome to a fantastic, magnificent episode 70 of the Grove Podcast. I hope you're all doing very well. I'm sure you are, again, following last night's glorious victory against that lot from up the Seven Sisters in Middlesex. So look, joining me today to talk all things North London Derby. I can't get my words out today. Jeez. Is Jamie? How are you? How's the new job? And how exhausted are you from last night?
I'm exhausted from listening to that intro, to be honest, Sabs. I'm good, thank you. Everything's tickety-boo. And last night was fantastic, but I was indeed quite drained today, I will say.
Yes, I think we all were. I think it was an emotional roller coaster for everyone, and the tension and the excitement and the joy and the fear and everything. Tired indeed. But anyway, it's a good tired. So pleased to have that for a change, given especially what we've been through the last few games. So look, in this show, as we always do, we'll go through yesterday's result against Tottenham and glory and look at all the glory in that, and then we'll look ahead to what will be, I think, it will be a trickier game for different reasons against Villa at the weekend. So got that to look forward to. So as we always do, and for a change, I think this is going to be more highlight than low light. Jamie, what was your highlight and low light from yesterday's game?
Highlight was, I don't think there's any way that it can't be Leo Trossard's Cruyff turn, and I really did think Pedro Porro had done himself there. I really did think that we were going to see him getting stretchered off, which you don't want to celebrate if somebody does their ACL, but the fact it would have been done via the back of Leo Trossard's Cruyff turn in a North London derby, I think would have made it the most legendary ACL I've ever seen in my life. His real his 2 or 3 minutes to recover from the shame of it was a proper highlight.
The first player to be stretchered off with embarrassment. So.
Absolutely, it was just absolutely phenomenal. Low light. I mean, the some bits be obvious. There were no low lights for me. I'm just gonna say that it was too good a day to possibly dwell on the negative.
Okay, you're not going to let anything bring you down. Okay, no problem. I have a low light, and actually, I might mention this later, and might have been one of my low lights, was the fact that what pissed me off about that Porro thing was that the ref stopped play, and I was like, why? It's not a head injury. He must have been, the shame, the embarrassment must have been emanating so far from Porro whilst he was on the ground. He must have been just screaming like, no, and the referee, what's up? He must be really bad. Oh, you're just embarrassed. And he stopped the play. That I think that wound up a lot of people. That was a potential low light. I'll start with my little low light, and it's a bit of a bugbear for all games, but particularly the London Derby. And I don't get this, and I don't understand why there's a market for this. Half and half scarves. I was walking out of Holloway Road Station, and I saw two people. I'm not going to even call them fans, not going to call them supporters. Two people walking into the station, so I'm not too sure where they were going, wearing half and half scarves. And I said, this is terrible at the best of times in the Premiership. I get it for international, and I get it for European. And if you're doing a European away day and it's your chance to maybe go to Milan or the San Siro or big Rome, whatever, maybe I can get it, and that's fine. If you won European trip, that's a bigger. But in the Premiership, when you got these massive, how on earth can you do a half and half Arsenal Tottenham scarf? And yeah, so that was a low light. And apparently there was some in the away end. There were definitely some in Arsenal end, and yeah, they just need to be all burnt to a cinder. So that was my low light. So nothing from the game, but just from the general evening. In terms of my highlight, for me was a holistic thing in terms of the effort that the team put in. They put in a massive shift yesterday, and still missing quality up front. But you cannot fault the effort that they put in, and they all put in. Even Sterling, even though he may not look, he was walking fast. Okay, so but the desire and just especially given the last couple of results, going 1-0 down, what it meant, and you can see at the end of it how they celebrated, and we might touch on that, and what it meant to them getting that result, and I think I really like that it was really meaningful to them, and they put a shift in, and I think Arteta summed it up beautifully when he said, look, the boys were outstanding today. Less than 72 hours ago, we played 120 minutes in another competition that we went out of. That is not easy psychologically. So the way we performed and played today was exceptional. We made it harder for ourselves. I think we deserved to score at least 1 or 2 more. Hell yeah. But we had to suffer. And I think suffer is the right word. We showed that, have the capacity to do that too. The attitude, the purpose and intensity that the players showed was really good. And yeah, that was a real big highlight for me. I think it stood out massively. So there we go. So let's go to the lineup. So Raya in goal, Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, MLS, and then Rice, Odegaard, Partey in the middle, and then a front three of Sterling, Havertz, and Trossard. So, what were your thoughts when you saw that lineup? Would you have done anything different? Did you like it?
The only thing that I didn't particularly like was actually Trossard over Martinelli. I was bang up for seeing Sterling get a go because I thought he was one of the bright spots against United. And yeah, that was the only thing that stood out to me was, yes, Sterling's come in, but we've seen Martinelli be the man to drop to the bench instead of Trossard. Other than that, to be completely honest, you play the hand that's been dealt to you, don't you? Like, how many players are there available otherwise that we're going to naturally fit into that team? That's the only real tactical decision I think that he had available to him at this stage.
Yeah. And especially I think because we know Tottenham play a high line, you'd maybe think Martinelli's pace would be more beneficial than say Trossard. I mean, turns out Trossard did all right. So maybe I think Nelly, but even a lot of people are saying, well, why did Sterling start? And my theory on that is he needed to have someone on the bench he could trust. Now, granted, form is not great, but if you had to choose between turning around and whoever got on the bench, you got Sterling versus turning around, you got Martinelli. I think that's a better option, and so on. And then so I wasn't too bothered with that. It was you're right. I think it's Trossard and Nelly. I think the other big shout out. I think the midfield was always going to be this midfield, given the team that he put out against Man United. Is Miles Lewis-Skelly. The fact that we have normalised an 18-year-old converted midfielder is now he's our de facto left back. I must admit, I was a little bit concerned given the game, the North London derby, the meaning of the game. It was a massive game, and I maybe had a little bit of concern about how he was going to handle that. Given his age, experience, no need to be worried at all. And I think we'll talk about him later. But would you consider him as our de facto left back at the moment?
Yeah, I had that conversation after the game, and I mean, to be honest, he sort of felt like it for me weirdly, really, really quickly. I sort of forget that it's only a few months back that he was starting to get a couple of starts against the League Cup opposition. It feels like he's been there for ages. He just looks like a left back that's absolutely born to it. And I've completely forgotten really the fact that he only really even started playing as an inverted left back at the Villa. I think it was Villa away in the under-21s last season. Was his first time, which was memory serves him right, it was like October, November time, something like that. Mm-hmm. That he just looks like he's absolutely tailor-made to be a left back in this system. I still think he'll come to be better and more influential and make better decisions in a game with time. But that's icing on the cake stuff because he's really, really good at what he does. And he looks physically ready for it and he looks mentally ready for it. And that's and it's really hard. You've got to really remember this lad is literally just 18.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. All the talk was about Nwaneri and what he was going to come, and the MLS is just sort of like flown in under the radar a little bit. Just got in, done his job, and doing a good one. I think. Imagine at the beginning of the season, we have Tomiyasu, we have Zinchenko, we have Tierney. We just bought Calafiori, and we're like just after Christmas saying our starting left back is an 18-year-old academy player who actually is a midfielder, and actually it's okay. It's nuts how football can work out in that way. So So no, I was, yeah, I think we will touch on his performance a bit later, but yeah, I was, again, we don't bat an eyelid. I think that's the main thing. We just see that, okay, fine, let's move on. Nothing to see here, and it was superb. So yeah, I agree. We got a player and a baller there. So it's a good stuff. So like, in terms of the overall game, statistics wise, it was fairly even. I think 53 to 47% possession. We had 1.45 expected goals to 0.78. So it was now nice for us to outscore our XG for a change. Again, we had a good number of shots, 14, 4 on target, 4 big chances, all of which we missed. and and 10 corners, which I think made the difference. And I put the momentum up here as well. And I think we'll touch it. It was mainly Arsenal with periods of Tottenham trying to attack, but without much joy apart from the one occasion. So, in terms of the overall game, overall thoughts on the actual game, how it played out, the result. What was your feeling? How did you feel during the game, and how did you feel after?
So, I mean, before the game, massively anxious. During the game, I mean, the intensity we went out there with really, really early on just meant that it sapped away any anxiety, and you could feel yourself being sucked into the battle with the team. And we just got off to such a brilliant start in that respect. The pressure that we put them under, the kind of early game dominance was the kind that I don't think we've seen in a while. And then obviously they've got the sucker punch. But to be honest, actually, weirdly, throughout most of that game, I think it's one of the calmest I've ever been in a North London derby.
Wow.
I hate North London derbies normally for the majority of the game, and only really enjoy things based on the outcome. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, even if a goal down, I really did feel like we looked just so much better a team than them. And it felt like a game that was exactly that. Even though they got the sucker punch, even though I was amazed at half time to look up at the board and see 4 shots on goal when I thought we'd actually had about 9 or 10. It was really strange. That's the kind of game it was to me. It felt like we were super dominant, much, much better. They didn't offer a great deal there, and I just didn't feel that worried throughout the majority of it. And it was bizarre. It just felt like being at a bit of a party atmosphere. But I mean, I don't know how much of that is also being sat in the clock and just sort of being sucked into the environment at the time, which was very, very, very positive. Everybody around me was in full blast. Let's support the Arsenal mode, even at a goal down. So maybe that's where that psychology came from for me. But
Yeah, you messaged me yesterday wanting to talk about the 12th man.
Yeah, big time. I mean, I genuinely think that was a big part of the game. So I think if we look at ourselves over earlier parts of this season and the games that I've been to recently in particular, it really doesn't feel like we're providing that 12th man element out of the stands that we have been in previous couple of years under Mikel Arteta. If I think back to the Norwich game that felt like it was the big turnaround a couple of years ago in particular, the way that in that game and about 5 or 6 others, we really developed this thing of getting behind the team and adversity, of William Saliba scores an own goal, we sing about William Saliba, Martin Odegaard whipping up crowds, all of that kind of stuff, and that was all there yesterday. And there was player interaction with us again yesterday as well. Not just Odegaard, not just flapping his hands in a way that now feels slightly more futile. It was, Gabriel absolutely punching the air. It was MLS winding people up. Willie Saliba, who's not the most, vocal and demonstrative a lot of the time, had a couple of moments of coming down to the crowd and whipping people up. And I think, there was a real back and forth and a feeling that, for me at least anyway, first time in my visits there this year where I felt like the Arsenal crowd were a proper 12th man. And I do believe it counts for something. I think, if you listen to so many ex-pros, you listen to Arteta, you listen to player sentiments, they will tell you that the atmosphere is a huge part of creating an environment for players to perform, because, that is it. That's their workplace and it is their environment. And I really did feel that was a big part of it. And obviously it's the NLD. You expect people to be up for it. But I wonder if this might create a little bit of a template and a little bit of a standard going forward, that we're not going to be as whipped up as we are against Tottenham when we're playing against Ipswich, are we? Let's face it. I
No.
just don't hate Suffolk. But
Enough.
no, not quite enough. Not quite enough. Not for the same reasons either. I think if we certainly can look at it and go, can we as a crowd be that little notch noisier and be that lot more noisy when we go a goal down? Because I used to love that when we went a goal down a couple of years back. We really, really got behind the team. That's the bit that I think has drained away, and maybe might just give that extra. It's a pretty non-tangible thing. It's a 1%, right?
Well, no, every percentage of those marginal gains and all the rest of it. For me, there's a couple of things. I think Arsenal have always been a crowd driven by what's on the pitch, never the crowd driving what happens on the pitch, if you see what I mean. So we're more reactive than proactive, but then also when the vibes are good, then we're a bit more proactive and things like that. And yes, we will back out. I still think it's a bit on a knife edge. I think there was just enough there because it was North London derby after they scored. We there was that, come on, that lift. But I think we are much more driven by what happens there. So I think a lot of the atmosphere is dependent on what we see in front of us. And if you get accumulation of shit, it is hard to lift us. I think the North London derby just made that bit easier. So actually, I think it was a good time to play. Well, we're saying that now because of the result, but I think it was a good time to play this game. You want a big game to just prove yourself, show, and then build the momentum. You win it and you build the momentum. So going to Villa, it will be interesting to see how the crowd is if we have faced adversity. But it's a building block. It's a start there. But I think with the team that we have, it's going to be difficult. So we just have to see how that goes. But definitely yesterday, I think it was a bit contrived. Even the announcer for the game was sort of like, go on this North London derby, give it the best effort ever, and it was a little bit contrived. And I don't know where I am on the Odegaard waving his hands, Gabriel waving his hands to the crowd, and all the rest of it. I think there's a time and a place. I think you're right. It gets a bit futile. It becomes a bit too much. It happens all the time. I think, don't wave your hands. Just play well, score a goal. We'll be behind you. Don't you worry. Every time to sort of lift us. I don't know. I think it's getting a bit too much if you ask me on occasion. But I think that was the best atmosphere of this season by far, and I think it did help. In terms of my analysis of the game, I came out of that game, and for me it was the most bizarre game I've seen live ever, and I found it so hard to analyse in parts. And the reason being, I've never seen an opposition like it. And I'm not saying, Spurs are shit or this, that, and the other. Just seeing, so we've all seen it on TV, we've all seen the talk, we've all seen this is who we are, mate. But seeing it live versus seeing it on TV is a whole different proposition. and I just couldn't believe what I was watching. And it's sort of like, we're so used to either teams attacking properly, or, and I say properly, traditionally, shall we say, or low blocks. But I don't know what I was watching yesterday, and it's really hard because then the crowd don't really know, and because it's hard to control the game. Because granted, Spurs pressed well, they play in such a way that it's really hard to have that domination, that control to push them back because of the way they play, and it was a bit of an element of, they want a basketball match, not a football match. That's how they play. They play on transitions. It's like, you go one way, we go the other way, and all the rest. And this is where the crowd make it hard for the team, because the crowd want us to attack 100 miles. But look at that space. Look at all that space. They want us to attack 100 miles an hour every time. And if we don't, the crowd gets antsy. But you can't play a game of football as if you're playing a basketball court. Is about a third of a penalty area, so that's fine. You can go up and down all day on that. Yeah, Rice was doing his best. He was up and down, but it's just not sustainable. So we did have to slow it down. Within the crowd, well, when you utilizing that space, you just can't. So we had a lot of possession, I think, but in different areas. And I think to your point, you thought, oh, did we only have 4 shots in the first half? Because I think we had a lot of nearly moments. We never had the moment. We had nearly moment, like Havertz almost nicking the ball off the keeper, Sterling almost taking a shot but not quite getting there, a cross almost getting to someone. So even though it felt like we had loads of chances, actually, you boil it down, if you look at it closely, no, we didn't. But we just almost got there, and yeah, I said it was just weird. And I said to the guy next to me, chat to, I said that we just you can't expect us to do attack every space, gung ho, because then that leaves us exposed. And that's exactly what Tottenham want you to do. So we did need to. I think we played it quite well in parts. That we attacked when we needed to, and we maybe slowed it down when we had to, just to get our breath back, just to say, okay, let's just pass the ball around. Because as soon as it becomes that basketball match, I think they've got the energy, they've got the players, maybe more so than us at the moment, to take advantage of that. So I don't know if you saw it the same or felt similar. I don't know, but bizarre.
Similar.
The bizarre was the word I came out of that game thinking.
I think you've summed it up so well there with the line around you can kind of see it on TV, you can expect it or whatever, but you can't. Seeing it in real life is something different. They were weird and interesting. I did not expect to see. I probably haven't been keeping my eye on Spurs at all. So seeing Archie Gray pitch up at centre half was really strange, and made me realise they must have a few more injuries than I necessarily thought they did. They seem to have a couple of players who I quite liked. Bergstrom fellow was quite decent. I kind of loved, though. I was during the numerous kind of quite long pauses in the first half. I happened my way over to the Spurs Reddit for a little bit to see a couple of folks going on about just how calm and collected their goalkeeper looks in comparison to the incumbents. And then I really just had to titter to myself the rest of the game as he continually kept on being pressed by Kai Havertz. So that was quite good fun as well. But fair play. I'd never heard of the fella. I didn't realise they had 2 goalkeepers out. I do understand they got a few injuries, but surely this is starting to look like this is just ball in, isn't it? Because it's been long enough. But yeah, glory be to how crap they were. I really don't mind it at all. And to be fair to them, I thought second half they seemed to have the bit between the teeth a little bit more, but no, they weren't at the races in comparison. I don't think intensity wise they were just an entire level off. Because I'm not even sure that quality wise we were anywhere near where we could have been, but intensity wise we won that game.
No, but even quality-wise, there wasn't a huge amount from them. I think we were playing the better football. We were the possession stats suggest maybe not the more dominant team, but it depends where you had that possession. I don't have that, but no, we did look the better team, and even Ange alluded to it. They just weren't good enough. Now they are a mid-table team, who won a few, lost a few, let in a ton of goals. Few injuries, but we've got injuries and we move on. So look, let's see how that first half played out. And this is the biggest stat that stands out for me is like 0.3 expected goals to us and 0.33 for them, and it was 2-1. That just shows again the vagaries of football, how things happen. We can have 0.4, 0.37 or whatever, and can't hit a barn door with a banjo, but then again we get 0.3 xg and we score two goals. So, and to be in terms of that first half, we pretty much had all the possession apart from a 5-minute spell from 20 to 25 where Tottenham decided to play, but the rest of it was all us. And I think in the 3rd minute, I think there was an odd situation because I think Sterling was through, but he stopped for a reason. He could have shot, but didn't. Then there was that first. I think is it Kimpsky. I don't know who the goalkeeper is, but on 18 minutes was the first time like Havertz got it, and he just couldn't get out of his feet or backheel it to 3 Arsenal players waiting for the ball. And then Tottenham decided to get out. The crowd quieting down. You had that 20 minutes of intense, and then I think there was Spence. So this is the first chance. Actually, the biggest chance or almost chance was Spence did a really good ball across, and I thought it was actually, I think it was Solanke or Son mishit it or hit it wide, but no, it was brilliant defending from Gabriel. And then from the resulting corner, Kulusevski had a good shot, which was saved by Raya. And then we had the goal. I think Sarr ran a long way. Partey was running in the muddy part of the pitch because he was getting nowhere near him. Ends up being a corner. Corner comes across. We're all sort of, not man to man. Was it a zonal marking from the penalty spot between the goal? Son's on the edge, shoots first time, deflected, decent hit, deflects off Saliba, goes in. Not a lot you can do, and I'm not going to complain about the deflection because Gabriel scored a deflection in this game. He scored a deflection at the weekend, so that's just the way it goes. And you take a shot and you see what happens. And in fact, funny enough though, that was their last shot on target for the rest of the game. So that was their game. Their game was the first 26 minutes. Were you concerned when they took the lead, or were you thinking, "Nah, we still got this"?
I was pissed off, is what I was, especially with the manner of it. And there's a little bit of a I don't want it to be like this. But I just, for whatever reason, I think I was so buzzing and positive over the start. As I say, for whatever reason, my kind of emotions just carried me over the line there, and I didn't feel too worried. For whatever reason, I felt a lot worse, I think, at a goal down the other week instead. That was concerning, and that was what could happen here, and are we even going to be able to get off our backside? For whatever reason in this one, it just felt like do the same and we genuinely will start scoring some goals here. This is fine. Just being pissed off is what I felt.
Yeah, and as again, one of these goals, just again, they haven't done a huge amount, and then they go and score. We've got all the dominance. I get, but a caveat: they were there was a period where they did attack and they were putting some pressure on, but again, it just felt like their first chance and they score, or first or second chance. I think the fact that the narrative says that Tottenham will give you chances, that kept me positive. To counter that was that we have loads of chances and we can't put them away. So so what if Tottenham give you chances if we can't bloody do anything with them? So I wasn't too down about it. It's 26 minute, loads of time to go. You'll get a chance. So it's fine. And as the minutes were ticking away in the first half, we had the Porro incidents. You're right. There was a lot of stop starting. I was just thinking, we got to get into halftime at least level. We can't have that hanging over us and so on. And well, we did more than that. And then in the 40th minute, now by all accounts, I haven't seen a replay of the decision or anything, but apparently it was not a corner. It came off Trossard. It definitely wasn't good. Even better. I didn't see, but I couldn't see from where I was. I rewatched some of the game. They didn't show the decision. So anyway, it happens. We've had decisions like that. It's about time something maybe went our way.
It's one of them. It's that decision gets made an absolute bunch of the time. Unfortunately, it is what it is. They do go either way. It's not something that I've ever really seen caught on VAR, and they used to go the other way all the time, and you accept them. It must be horrible to concede off them in an NLP.
Well, there's a lot that still needs to happen.
Made it funnier for me. So
well, exactly. I mean, any other team, you think, it's only a corner, we'll defend this. Oh shit, it's Arsenal with a corner. That's like, might as well give us a penalty, and we'll miss that. So there you go. But Rice with again, one of our perfectly worked corners. But this time I think it was between big Gabriel and Dragusin, who heading the ball back and in off Solanke. Again, a bit of fortune. I don't think it was going in. It deflected, I think, of his midriff and in. But again, who cares? We're putting the pressure on. I think we deserved it. And I said it's about time something went our way. And I think the stat here is since the start of last season, Arsenal have scored 4 goals from corners against Tottenham in the Premier League. The most any team has netted against an opponent in this period. So Tottenham, our ability to score from corners and Tottenham's inability to stop goals from corners continues. And then 4 minutes later, a lot of things happened that we haven't normally seen on the pitch recently. So a great tackle by Partey, sort of in midfield, sort of plays it to Odegaard. Odegaard, first time to Trossard down the left channel. He runs fast, drove into the area, and he shoots. So I just want to pause there, just for everyone to take that in. He shot, and it wasn't perfect, and it wasn't perfect for his positioning, and it was on his weaker foot. But again, a bit of luck the way he hit it. Maybe because he hit it with his weaker foot, he doesn't hit it so cleanly. Bounces into the ground, over the goalkeeper's hand, and in. And some people are saying, "Oh, the keeper should have saved that." If that's going on the ground, he saves it. He cannot react to that bounce because he's. I can't find fault with that keeper because he let it in. So there's no fault of the keeper as far as I'm concerned. So, but it was nice to see, and you, I think from where you were in the clock, and you would have got a great view of that.
Cracking, yeah. I was in line with where it rippled the net, so which was for both goals effectively as well. Yeah, it was right in line with the keeper's left hand side. It was shocking, to be honest, because I just didn't. When Trossard got the ball in that position, we've been there a lot of times, haven't we? We've not really seen that sort of ambition to go and score yourself very often from Leo Trossard in that position for quite a long time now. So yeah, it was great. I would say as well. I don't know whether the keeper can do more necessarily, as much as it was a little bit of a fortunate finish. I think. To an extent, but it doesn't matter. That's how a lot of goals are. You don't necessarily see it powered into the top corner. So yeah, it was lovely. I think the main thing was the move was just great. And watching it back again with a different angle. Actually, I watched that one whilst I was walking home a few hours later, and seeing the Thomas Partey dispossession and the speed at which the ball was moved on from there was just brilliant to see. And that was what it felt like, the kind of goal that we haven't been scoring a lot of the time, because we haven't. I think the last time I was on with you, we talked about the speed at which we worked through the transition, and it just not being there. It isn't punchy enough. Well, that's punchy. That was great.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good to see, and actually, it was an interesting. Like actually, on the first goal, I didn't really celebrate. I don't know what I couldn't. There was a bit of hesitancy because it was a corner. You think. I don't know, maybe there was a fear because there was some, I don't know what the question was about the goal. There seemed to be a question, but there was no VAR review according to, I didn't see, but there seemed to be some hesitancy as to whether it was a goal or not. And I didn't even celebrate. It was more like, right, great, we're back in it. Let's go. I couldn't let myself go for the equaliser. Do you know why there was maybe a hesitancy? Was there a foul on the keeper or something?
It was a VAR review, yeah. There was definitely something announced that caused the second wave, and it was... Yeah. It was a bit. It was a bit weird, though. I must admit, actually, the celebrations for that one were a lot more subdued than the second, because and to be honest, it felt a bit like, right, there we go, we're back at square one. Yeah. Bit between your teeth, almost a little bit more for me. It was more of a like, right, we've reset things. Now we go and get the next one. Yeah. But yeah, I would agree. I think there was definitely a pause for something. And it was weird because they definitely didn't have the purple screen go up.
No.
I'm sure I remember there being a yes, that's a goal moment.
Well, yeah, I think the ref just pointed at the spot. Go on, take the kickoff. There we go. Oh, look. Just on a side note, do you know where that phrase "going back to square one" comes from?
Snakes and ladders, surely.
No. So in back in the early days of football radio commentary. You would have a sheet of paper, and I think of the football pitch, and the football pitch would be broken into X amount of sections, and square one was where the centre spot is. So if you're saying back to square one, you're going back to the centre circle or centre spot. So that apparently
that is fantastic trivia.
You go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, if it's not true, I believe it's true, and if it's not, well, it's a good story anyway. So, or not, or not, depending on your point of view, you could be like, oh, for God's sake, shut up. So anyway, look, second half, Tottenham again, part of their bizarreness that they went really attacking. They took off a couple of midfielders, brought on a couple of sort of more attacking players, like is it Johnson and Maddison. So they went sort of like 4-1-4-1 or 4-1-1-4 at times, which again gives you something to think about. It's like, oh my, virtually man on man, against a back four. So again, how do you contend with this? What you did, but they had no midfield, so that's where all the space is. And now I understand it. When it's where their midfield is. Oh, that's I totally get it, because you're not going to get Brennan Johnson or Maddison doing the donkey work in the middle, and we have Rice and Partey at least. To do that. Like, granted, Partey may not have had the best games, but he's still a decent midfielder. So then it became a bit more basketball-y in the second half. But as I said, they didn't have a shot on target since the goal. They really created nothing. I think Gabriel put in a good couple of blocks to stop things from happening. The overhead kick by Solanke. I mean, if I was the manager, I'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?" I mean, that's a 1 in a million. Get the ball down, recycle it, get the ball back in. They're under pressure. I don't think he realised where he was. He was miles away from getting anywhere near that. And again, for us, we had a lot of those nearly moments, opportunities to have a shot, but we were either too slow to get the pass off, or we just couldn't pass it right. But yeah, I think it's one of those ones. There's a lot of our games, if you watch them without the emotion, there was no real threat, caused by Tottenham, and actually we were the ones doing the most threatening. So I think, I'm just trying to think of chances of note. There was the Havertz header on 57. I don't think he was expecting to get it, and maybe it was one of these ones he could have controlled it and shot, but he got the header on target. Then with that keeper, you never know. Sterling. Then there was another mix-up with the Tottenham defence, and Sterling had a chance, but that was one of those nearly moments. Havertz couldn't quite get it to him. We got it to him. It was too slow. Then Martinelli came on, and he had that brilliant dribble in the 69th minute. But again, shoot or pass, he did neither. Rice had the shot on 73 where he hits the keeper in the chest. Then Odegaard has a shot, but relatively easy save in the 74th. I think 82nd was when Big G put in one of the stops against Spurs. And then the moment that the game should have been put to bed. Now, you would have had a better view of where he was in front of the goal, because I was looking side on. But even side on, it was right in front of me, side on. It was like Havertz against Man United and Havertz against How did you miss?
Yeah.
How central was he, and how did he miss?
Zero explanation. I genuinely had not a clue. And that was actually probably the only moment where for a second you go, I mean, actually, you're probably, if you're making your own fortunes in this game, maybe at that stage you should go back to 2-2 as a punishment, because it is what it is. But yeah, it was very, very. I still don't really want to think much about it. It was a moment that was very frustrating for about 30 seconds. Then I got on with enjoying the party again.
Well, yes, and that was an 85th. So imagine if that had gone in 3-1, then that would have been just a beautiful 10 minutes of just.
Yeah.
So we still could not relax, and then we had the Solanke overhead kick, and then we had that one moment on the 95th minute. Porro hits the outside of the post. Now, I think it was a shit cross. I don't know. Do you think it was a shot or a cross? I think it was a poor cross, but some people say it was like a shot. And I think he scored something similar to that early in this season. But don't know. Again, you would have had a great view of that. You would have had heart in mouth. In
the moment, I thought it was a shot.
Right.
And then in the watching it back as well, I can't make my mind up. But I mean, either way, I saw it was a threat on goal was probably the key bit.
Yeah.
It was a real heart in mouth moment for a second, just because it was a bit wild and it all happened a bit quickly. But no, that was that wasn't as pleasant, but it was just counting down from there, wasn't it? So
yeah, and all the people around us were going, "Oh my god, he hit the post!" I was like, "It doesn't matter. He missed. He didn't. Let everyone calm down. He didn't score. It doesn't matter. Let's just everyone just chill the fuck out." Yeah, it's fine. It didn't go in, so we're fine. It didn't go in. Everything's okay. And then obviously the referee plays on until, I know, was it 95 and 40 seconds? It was sort of like, so we were all doing the whistling and all the rest of it, but I think we defended well. But you're just thinking, oh, just one shot, there's the deflection here. They get a corner, and then I don't know where this rule of I will play until the defense clear it. Well, no, if the time hits the time, it doesn't matter who's got the ball. That's it. But anyway, stout defending, game over. Free from desire is or whatever the name of the song is. Come. No, actually, the angel came on, and I think that was a good one, and that was really, really nice, and the atmosphere after the game was superb. The players were celebrating. I mean, Gabriel was dancing and twirling his shirt around, which I don't mind. Some people will criticize him because it's just a league game, it's just 3 points. But I'm thinking he put in so much effort into that game. He was man of the match. He scored a winning goal. If you can't fucking enjoy that, I'm sorry, you're in the wrong game, sort of thing. So I'm assuming you feel the same. You got to celebrate these moments.
I'm up for celebrations all the time. Anyway, I have no issue with this kind of old celebration police thing that cropped up last season. Was hilarious for a little while, I felt, but no, for me, I expect after a North London derby that they should be celebrating if they win it, because they should be reflecting us, and I think that happened most of the times last season when Egypt came out and had a bit of a pop at us at various stages. Well, when Reece scored that goal against Bournemouth, for instance, that we were absolutely going berserk in the stadium, and so for the players to do the same, and actually in a far more moderate fashion, is for me great. Because that, if anything, just sort of brings you together. It's it's them feeling similar emotions to what we do.
Yeah, good.
So I don't care about what stage it is in something. Different games have different emotions, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that is because you've turned it around in a game that you should have been bloody winning in the first place, and at other times because you beat your big rivals. Whatever it is, the emotions of the game are there, and the players are going to carry it out on the pitch as much as the fans in the stands sometimes, and that's great to see.
No, it is indeed. So I've got some stats. So look, we won the North London derby again, and that's the first time we've won 3 consecutive games against Spurs in the Premiership. Now, going behind. See, this is why it's not a problem in the North London derby. This was the 11th time the team scoring first in the North London derby in the Premier League has gone on to lose. Yeah, and it's always a good sign. But if Tottenham score first, it's better for us because 7 of those 11 Tottenham have gone on to lose. Arsenal avoided defeat when conceding first against Spurs 18 times in the Premier League, so we've gone on to win 7, draw 11. 5. Arsenal have done their Premier League double over Tottenham for the 5th time. Twice under Teta, 3 times under Wenger. Spurs have done it once. So
hell of a record actually for Arteta. In fairness, to have done 2, so he's 1 double away from meeting what Wenger did in the space of
20 years or something like that.
Years, and to be honest as well, I mean, Spurs for probably the first 10 years of Wenger's reign were you could point to the standard they are at the moment. And say that's probably about the same standard they were for about the first decade of when Wenger was here, to be frank.
No, absolutely.
It does show something. He does get them up for these games and top 6 in general, right?
Yeah, no, well, in terms of top 6, we haven't lost against the top 6, whoever they are, but that was
big 6,
the big 6, yeah. So what? Chelsea, City, United, Liverpool,
including
Tottenham.
a team in 15th position.
Exactly. So traditional big 6. We haven't lost in 630 days or 16 Premier League games. That's just a tremendous record. But the most bizarre record of the night, or one of the most bizarre records, is that we need to play at home on the 15th of January every year because Arsenal have won 6, drawn 1, and lost none when they play a competitive first team game on the 15th of January. So every year we need to be playing on the 15th of January. And now this record goes back to 1910. And then the last time we played was on the 15th of January 2000 against Sunderland. So we need to be playing 15th January every year. Don't care what day of the week it is, let's play.
You nerd. No,
Oh, all right, don't worry. It's not me. Social media. I love looking for these silly stats, so it's good. It just shows you what that game,
do we
how
need to
stupid the game is.
take the star signs out on the pitch as well, or what?
So look, a couple of things. Spurs are now closer to relegation than Europe. They're lying in 13th on 24 points. In and around teams that they're very similar teams: West Ham, Palace, United. You know they've scored 43, let in 32, won 7, lost 11, drawn 3. But who cares? But it's funny that they're nearer relegation than Europe. As for us, is it back on?
Um,
We're 4 points behind Liverpool. Okay, they've got a game in hand.
I just feel it's almost pointless, isn't it? And saying is it on or off? Like it's not in our
Come on, it's
control.
back on. Come on,
In
let's
our
go.
control. We've got to go out there and win as many games with bloody. It's still only January as well.
I know.
Just I mean, it's as on as it is for any other team in the Premier League apart from Liverpool, who clearly are on it, on it, on it. So like
Yeah.
it's nice. It's a great win. It's a hell of a thing. And maybe at some point we'll actually look back and go, well, at least we went out of those stupid cups, you know. On the other hand, we might go, shit, actually, we really should have stayed in them silly cups. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the ride last night a lot, and it's the
Yeah.
first time that can really be said in the new year, to the degree that you can say it. So yeah,
No, indeed. I mean,
that's massive.
it was tongue in cheek. You're right. The next game is massive. We forget about this. It was 3 points. Let's use it. Let's leverage it, and all the rest. But I think the one of the beautiful things about last night, other than North London derby. Okay, so we made up 2 points in Liverpool. Great, but also we made up 2 points on Forest, and made up 2 points on Chelsea, and made up 2 points on City, and stuff like that. So also just to solidify our place in second, I think that also helps over and above the North London derby. It's the first time we've been able to take advantage of all those clubs in one go. So you're right. Is it back on off? Got to keep winning. Forget about this. Villa is going to be a tough game, and we'll touch on that later. So we got to do what we got to do. So look, let's go through some player ratings. We bring it back for this one because I think there's definitely some people worth talking about. So let's start off. So start off with Raya, and so what we do out of 10, base is about 6.5. So for me, I gave him a 7. He didn't have a lot to do, but I love it when in the last few minutes the pressure's on and he comes out and claims the ball and just calms things down and has that composure. It just always helps, and he does that a couple of times. He made the save against Kulusevski, so his distribution was good. So yeah, I gave him a 7.
Yeah, ditto. Can't really disagree. All of that's right.
Yeah, Timber.
So I mean, I'm going to go probably an 8.5 on this. I thought he was very, very good. I thought, and in particular, I felt that if Tottenham were going to do something in this game coming into it, then I felt that it was going to be done in the wide channels. They don't dominate the middle necessarily. They do have a bit of ability out wide, and I do quite like their wing backs in particular, who really do advance high up the pitch, and they let a centre midfielder go back and form a back three when they're in possession. And the two fullbacks were great at both, at not just being good matching up against any of their threats, but being really, really aggressive and getting up the pitch and being part of the press. So I thought Timber had a really good game.
Yeah, I wasn't so generous. I gave him a 7, but that's all good. Yeah, solid, typical Timber. Okay, Saliba, I gave him 7.5. He was just too good, too strong for Solanke. He had him in his pocket practically all night, and the partnership with Big G, you just got to love it. So yeah, it's Saliba doing Saliba things, and joy to behold.
8 for me. I just think just that touch more generous I'm being, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you've got the North London derby tax, or in the positive way.
Yeah.
Okay, over to you on Big G, Gabriel.
Gabriel's the probably the man of the match for me on a 9. The goal, everything start to finish was done with intensity, with his huge amounts of physical strength and mental strength. And um, I, I remember actually I was listening to the last pod that you and Moz did before whilst I was on my way in. And Moz did go on a little bit about the moments where Odegaard and Gabriel get together and have a good chat before the corners, and they were doing that every single time. And for whatever reason, I particularly loved him getting that header at a time when you've been hearing quite a bit of those sentiments, and some of the guys in the stands around me actually were giving it we take so long taking these bloody corners and stuff. So him getting in for that goal and it being off the back of one of those very well worked corners was, yeah, absolutely loved it. But just a huge game for him, and for me, he was the leader all the way through last night.
No, agree. I gave him 8.5. I think his passion, desire, got the equaliser. I think he's been our best defender this year, possibly even player of the year so far. You know, he just doesn't give anything but 100%. I can't remember the last mistake he made, and he made 3 big important interventions. So yeah, I think he was. I didn't realise how good he was until I did a bit of a rewatch of the game and just some certain moments to nullify Tottenham and just everything about him just great. We've got to just pin him down, give him a piece of paper, tell him to sign it for the next 5 years and move on, because yeah, he's missing out in comparison to the other defenders we've got from a contract perspective. So sign him up for longer. Okay, on to the new kid on the block. It's MLS. I gave him an 8. He was pushing Gabriel for man of the match, and a lot of people did give him as their man of the match. He just he looks like a young guy, but he's so strong. He's just must have the core and a low center of gravity. He's brave, ability to get out of tight spots. Sometimes a bit nervy, but and I said he's just normalised for an 18-year-old and fantastic. And look, Arteta called him phenomenal. And there was a great bit from he got interviewed by Ian Wright after the game, and Ian Wright asked him if he was worried about facing up against established players like Kulusevski, and he mentioned Johnson, but okay, give him benefit of the doubt. And his response was superb. Never afraid of no one. You need to improve your English, mate. But anyway, there we go. I want to go against the best. I want to be the best. You have to go against the best to be the best. And that attitude, the no fear, is superb. And we've got a player there. I don't care where he plays, with that attitude and that ability. You could see him going further up the field, left 8. Left back, he could be doing what we did with Ashley Cole. Ashley Cole, I think, was a winger. We've turned him into one of the best left backs England's ever have. What Tuchel was there yesterday. It wouldn't surprise me if he's on the fringes of the squad, because he's showing fantastic form. There is though one thing before I let you have your thing, and I notice it a lot, and it's from the position that I have. You get a bit of height. Is that he drives forward when he gets the ball, and he does the turns, he breaks the press, he drives forward to a point. Even if there's space in front of him, you think, go on, drive to the edge of the box, drive into the box, use that midfield attacking mentality like we've seen him do loads of time in youth football. But it must be an instruction for him to go so far and then stop and then pass it wide or pass it inside. Now, I don't know. I don't know, one, if you've seen that, but let me know what your thoughts on that, and then you can eulogize him, But I know it's just one thing that I say, go on, go. But he must be instructed not to.
I think it's a defined thing that he's looking to do, yeah. But there are some moments where it comes off quite nicely. There was the inside ball that he played last night at one stage off his right, actually, as well, if I remember, when he was breaking through. Yeah, he is definitely looking more for the pass than to drive the run over a long distance. And I'm not sure why that is, given just how good he is travelling with the ball. It must be instruction. Maybe he's just very conscious in himself that he does actually travel with the ball a fair bit before he gets there. I mean, yeah, it is a bit of an odd one, but it's working at the moment. So
yes,
I personally think as well, I'd like to see him just be a little bit more willing to overlap at times as well. And drag and create a bit more space by getting in that overlap position, which is my one complaint about Justin Timber as well. Actually, both both the guys playing at the minute just don't do that Ben White thing enough for me.
Yeah.
Not saying.
And what did you give him? What did you give him for his performance?
I give him 8.6 just to differentiate from Timber. And that 0.1 is really made up for by the way he exited the pitch as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was funny. I think that was the only thing Richarlison did when he came on, and I think that's the only thing he ever does. He comes on, causes aggro, and then fucks off, and he's like, yeah, and good on him for doing. And he got yellow carded for it, but it was a deserved yellow card. So well done. Okay, next up, Party.
You know what? My actual impression was that it was probably going to be like a 5 at the time, and then watching back the game, I realised actually a couple of the key moments that he was involved with, and I don't know. I'm going to give him a 7, but with me gut, because I think I underappreciated him during the game itself. But yeah, I a bit of a weird one for me. I did think there were a couple of times he got caught out.
Yeah. I mean, I gave him a 6. I think something's good, something's bad. The Sarr run, but maybe again, the thing is to caveat some of this is like we don't know how tired they are, fatigued they are from the previous 2 games. So maybe given that it may be higher, but I gave him a 6. But it's fine. Nothing too egregious. Just a solid game. Okay, next up, Odegaard. I think I gave him 7.5. He was, he was creative again. He was his energy on the press. He looked more like himself yesterday. Still could be finishing better, but he looked more like himself rather than versus Newcastle and Man United. He looked a shell, and he was a driving force behind the team behind Big G. So no, I liked his performance, and he's created a lot of chances for us. I think he's created 14 chances for us over the last two games. And that's as many as everyone else combined. So something's there. He just needs to now get that goal, that finishing. Him and Havertz, they need to get that goal just to break that duck, so to speak. Just break the seal on that, and then all hell will break loose.
Yeah, I mean, ditto. And did you see that ball that he plucked out the sky that had taken a massive deflection and gone about 60 foot up in the air?
That was crazy.
That touch was just gorgeous.
Could watch that all night.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd still be fetching the ball now if that was me.
It's one of those moments where you just get the audible gasp around you, don't you? As everybody just goes, that was just delightful.
Yeah, indeed. So, what did you give him?
Ditto. 7.5. I think is
7.5.
Yeah,
very good. Okay, Rice.
So, I mean, I think I'm doing pretty much where you are. I'm going 7 with Rice. I thought he had a really good game. Was pretty influential. But I mean, I think he should have scored for a start as well at one point. But yeah, and I also thought sometimes, one or two times, he could really have been making the supporting run, and maybe that's just because he busted such a gut and was so high intensity early on in the game that he wasn't necessarily there at other moments.
Yeah, I gave him 7.5. I thought he was up and down a lot, strong going forward, defending, but I think it comes back to my point at the beginning. Yeah, you cannot do that for the whole game and energy and stuff. So there are times you have to pick and choose when you go, and sometimes if you go when you shouldn't have done, that doesn't mean you're ready to go for when you should do. So it's a bit. So here's a bit of a question: do you mind that he's in mixing between 6 and 8, and we swapping around? Do you want him fixed, or are you happy that he can play both?
I quite like the potential of playing both a little bit, to be honest, and not necessarily having somebody that's an anointed left centre or midfield 8 role. Doesn't feel very Arteta to be that way, though, does it?
No.
It feels like people are meant to have really defined positions across the pitch. So I don't know whether it's going to end up like that, but I like it. It's just a box to box midfield sort of role at the moment, right? Is what you really get out of that. And I like a box-to-box midfielder. So yeah.
It'd be interesting if we played more of a double pivot with Odegaard more central. Then we wouldn't be having the discussion: is he a 6 or an 8? Because you'd just be doing that box-to-box, and one would be more holding, one's more box-to-box. But because we don't do that, we more do a 1-2, so a single, and then 2 at front. Then it's more like, well, is he an 8? Is he a 6? And some people want him as a 6. So look, I think next season, will be a tell, but that we're already being linked with someone else who could be more of a six. So maybe it's just more of the same. Maybe it's fine having that rotation. Is that option? Is that, are we getting the best out of it? That's the thing. Are we getting the best out of him the way we're playing him? And I don't know what the answer is. Because we don't ever see it long enough in one, and sometimes he does well, sometimes he doesn't. So yeah, I don't know. It's an odd one, but he's an asset no matter what. Are we getting the best out of him? Hard to tell. And I think that will come to the fore maybe towards the end of the season and next year. Okay, on to Sterling. Bless him, he tried. I think he didn't do that badly. He was a bit walky at times, but he still seemed a bit of a threat. Offered something. He gave Martinelli a bit of rest. I think he maybe needs a run of games to get in sync with the team, just to find a bit of confidence. And I'm happy for him starting, and then he comes off at 60, and then someone else comes on. So I gave him a very generous 6 because we won the North London derby.
I don't think it should be a 6 because we won the North London derby. I think he was fine. As a baseline. Again, given all of the other context, but also off the ball, really good. Won a bunch of challenges last night. I think somebody has mentioned a stat actually about it, but he was. I really, really enjoyed him against United off the ball again as well, and he did that tonight. I thought really does put himself about. And he does like the tactical foul as well of the Man City variety.
Good.
Of the early and sneaky variety, and that really doesn't get any question of a yellow or anything like that. So yeah, I enjoyed his performance without it being anything great. So 6.5, but for me that's not an NLD inflated rating.
Okay, good. All right, on to Havertz, and this, don't know. I think he divided opinion yesterday. I've got my certain opinion, but what did you think of Havertz?
Really enjoyed his intensity and his pressing. That was great. Thought he was quite threatening at times as well, running on the ball. But it's the same thing as before, really, isn't it? Where you go, he's unfortunately lacked a finish again, hasn't he? When he should have. So yeah, it is what it is. You feel like he's got to get a goal in him and get the confidence levels rising again. Number, I'll put probably. It's a 6.5, 7 on it again. He needs to do a little bit more, but I thought it was bright.
Yeah, I mean, I gave him a 7 just because I thought off the ball he was very good. Again, he was pressing the keeper well. He was again holding the ball up, shielding the ball, bringing other players into play. But yeah, he just needs that finish. He needs that goal because that's his job. So, but I think he was a big part of why we won that game. And again, it's that a lot of the time, like a lot of people won't appreciate that or see that, and so therefore they might think he had a bad game. But I quite enjoyed his performance. And then Trossard, I gave him a 7.5. I mean, again, it was a typical Trossard game, in and out, does some good things, maybe could have done things better, but he scored the winner, so it can't be all bad. It can't be all bad at all. So I gave him maybe a miserly 7.5, but I was taking the whole performance. Maybe give him an 8 because he did score the winner. So
no, see, I'm going to go with a 7 here because I think like Leo weirdly gave me the 2 best moments of last night that were 2 of the better moments of this entire season, in the goal and the Cruyff turn, and then was genuinely, I think, pretty naff for a lot of the rest of the game. Like spent a lot of the early parts of the game going, it's Leo doing Leo things again. What's happening here? Why is Leo doing that again? So yeah, I would honestly say, summing it all up over the 90 minutes, I'm going to give him a 7.
Wow.
I thought that his the off ball and general decision making on Sterling at least was better than Leo. Just Leo gets away with a goal with a brilliant turn, and then in fairness, he had a couple of other moments as well. But really, the whole game hinges in the space of about 10 seconds worth of football from Leo.
That's all it needed. And look, with the subs, I will just quickly rattle through these. I think Martinelli, good option to come off the bench, expose the spaces. better and more secure defensively than Sterling. Didn't do a great deal, but a good option. Tierney was an interesting sub coming on at left wing or midfield, but then when Zinchenko came on, went to left back. I thought it was a decent thing. I thought it was interesting. I thought maybe it's written in the stars that he's going to come in and lamp one in. Marino wasn't on long enough, and Zinchenko. Now, is this the first time we've seen him play midfield for Arsenal, or were we playing a back five when he came on? I don't know.
No, I think he went. I think we went back five because really, right. I think when Tierney came on, I think everybody was expecting him to go midfield because he replaced the winger. But it looked more to me that he sort of went left wing back and MLS went sort of LCB, and then very quickly after Zinchenko came on, and somehow we ended up with Zinchenko in a strange LCB sort of position.
Yeah.
It was all It was all a little bit auxiliary, wasn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah.
But in fairness, all of them tried. Even Zinni as well. You know, he got over to his. There were a couple of times where they whipped the ball across, and they looked like they were trying to expose Tierney and Zinchenko in particular. And the two of them went out there and for guys that haven't been playing much football, you know, they were tight. They stuck to their men. They did a job. Yeah. Did a job.
Yeah. See, that's the lengths Arteta will go to not play him in midfield. So there we go.
I think Marino as well. Marino came on and on his he came on at the corner, and then he cleared the corner as his very first touch was literally the first Arsenal player touching after the Tottenham player. Like, so there's little bits like that from the subs. I quite enjoyed that.
Okay.
Where Marino just went and he gave it a good head clear. As you know, I mean, I think it was a bit of a you should have cleared the first man sort of situation. To be honest, it wasn't an Arsenal style corner. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
but it's it's nice to see. Just everybody came on and just did their jobs relatively quietly, got on with it, and we sort it out.
No, good. I mean, I was with the corner. I did actually think it was weird. We brought on Marino, brought on Tierney. I thought, don't you? Isn't the rule that you're never meant to make the changes at corners? But I didn't realise Marino headed it away. So. Tactical masterstroke by Arteta again. Sign him up for another 10 years. Let's go. Right, okay. So
very clear instruction to Marino. Clear that ball. Yeah. I actually think I'd just give the subs bench as a whole. I'd just give them an 8. There you go.
Very good.
8 for the subs because they all came on and did the jobs.
Did a job. Okay, so man of the match. I mean, for me, Big G, Gabriel, and actually he's won man of the match officially in the last 3 Spurs games, or the last 3 times we've won Spurs. So he both equally hates Spurs, but also loves playing against Spurs. And there's this really weird stat, which I'm not too sure what to make of it, but it sounds impressive. Since the start of last season, he's blocked 57 shots versus conceding 48 goals. So I don't know what to make that of. It just sounds good. It was all over social media, so it must be good. So I'm not sure what to make of that. Who was your man of the match?
It's Big G as well, mate. 100%. And I absolutely love. Have you seen his photo of him in his prize collection of man of the match versus Tottenham awards?
No, I've seen the collection, but not seen with him in it. But yeah, it's a nice one to see.
Yeah, so he went back. He is in possession of them all, and he just sort of added it to the shelf of this is me doing over Tottenham, I think.
Okay, very good. Well, you love to see it. And plonker of the match for me, anyone wearing a bloody 50-50 scarf, you can do one.
I've got to agree. Do you know, I was sat literally in the United game, actually. The 2 lads that were sat next to me in Block 92, is a couple of chaps who clearly... I mean, they were also... You talk about plonkers. They were doing that thing of checking their flight constantly because they'd, yet again... These are folks that think that they can get from like King's Cross to Lisbon in space at a time. We get on a flight about half hour after the game's finished.
Serves them right for wearing a half and half scarf.
But genuinely, so the geezer turns around to me at one point and goes, he gestures to me with his little vape, going, "Can I vape in here?" And I just went, "Don't get caught, mate." And don't get caught wearing that scarf either, because I thought I had a United fan next to me, because he had the black and red and the Devils and all that, and then he undid his jacket and showed me an Arsenal shirt, and I could see the other side of it was an Arsenal scarf. I was like, all right, okay. Still though, like what?
Still don't get caught with that bloody scarf.
I'm still watching. I'm looking at you from this side. I think you look like a bloody United fan, and what's going on here? So practical concerns as well. Like that, luckily I'm a very pacifistic and
Yeah, so you only punched him once.
Yeah, had that been other smaller, angrier, more violent members of the Grove like Charlotte, then that man might have been in real trouble.
Yeah, indeed. Well, good job she wasn't there. Otherwise, they would have been in trouble. So look, we won the North London derby. That's twice this season. North London is well and truly red, and a big part of Middlesex as well. And yeah,
Hey,
and
I
there we
live in
go.
Middlesex, mate. So
No,
and I live 2 miles away from the
it's
stadium. I don't admit, not even
it's
2 miles. I live 0.7 miles away, and I'm in Holloway's in Middlesex, mate.
yeah.
I don't.
Anyway,
Anyway, whatever.
look, it's great. We love to see it. Long may it continue. But it's 3 points. We move on. I was going to chat about transfers, but I think that's futile at the moment. It's just rumours. Let's just wait and see what happens. We know what we need to do. Let's just do it. So let's look ahead to Villa. So I said important 3 points as the league goes. A difficult game for many reasons. Tottenham was, but I think this is going to be an even trickier game against a half decent Villa side with a manager who occasionally has our number and just wants to do us every time he plays us. So with that in mind, what are you looking forward to and not looking forward to as far as the game's concerned?
Yeah, I mean, the prospect of beating Emery is really nice. The prospect of beating Emi Martinez largely. I actually, to be honest, Unai, I've got quite warm feelings towards, and Emi on the other hand, it's that weird thing, isn't it? You just love to hate him. I sort of love that we used to love him, but I mainly love to hate him. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what will inevitably be a bit of banter backwards and forwards between Martinez and the Arsenal crowd if it's going our way. What I'm not looking forward to is it's Villa, and they're really quite good, and they are quite lethal up front at times. They haven't looked anywhere near as good this season as they were last season. They look a little bit leggy. Perhaps time might be catching up with them a little bit, and in midfield in particular, John McGinn doesn't look quite as good, and they haven't got Douglas anymore, right? So I'm apprehensive just because they are a quality outfit, but I look at the fixture list for the next few weeks and I go, to be honest, it doesn't get that much easier. So
no, it doesn't.
Make our way through it.
Yeah, no, we do. Look, I'm looking forward to hopefully finding some form in front of goal. Havertz, Odegaard, something's got to give at some point. We keep creating the chances, keep putting the pressure on. Something's got to give, and it'd be so nice to have just a comfortable win, not to be worrying about only one goal in the lead. Are we going to concede? Everyone in that stadium knew we needed a third just to be sure. No one was confident at 2-1, no matter how shit Tottenham are, that we were going to hold this one out. And so it'd be nice just to not have to go through that. What I'm not looking forward to again, I think Emery doesn't like playing us, and he does a number on us, and they can be a good team. They have been a threat. They did us last season. So I want to see us use the energy and the momentum from North London derby, take the atmosphere, from North London and bring it to this game. But yeah, I think this is going to be more edgy, more nervy. You're not going to have that anti-Tottenham vibe going on. So let's see. And in terms of lineup, do you see anything different? I mean, we've got Zagreb midweek, and maybe that's the chance to rest some players, because we should do, even though it's important, we should be able to beat them with a few players out. So what are you thinking in terms of lineup?
Wouldn't massively surprise me if we see just a couple of small tweaks, I think. So Martinelli will come back into the lineup, I think.
Okay.
Whether that's Trossard or Sterling that drops out, and I think it'll probably be Trossard, or maybe Trossard even moves and Havertz comes out of the lineup, for instance. And we go back to a Trossard 9 situation. Not a fan of it, not suggesting it, but it's happened. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of tweaks just because it's what, how many hours are between the two games? Less than 72. It's a difficult one, but I mean, yeah, realistically, again, there just aren't that many choices. There aren't many interesting choices that he's going to be able to make.
I think it'll be same lineup. I think, given wanting something to trust off the bench, I think the only change is Trossard is hard. I know he scored in North London derby, but It's another game. I think maybe Martinelli comes on for this one. Trossard's on the bench. I think we'll go Party Rice in midfield because they've got big units in there. Onana and Rodgers. You got to match up. So that it'll be a very matched up midfield. So that Tielemans for Odegaard, Onana for Rice and Rodgers for Partey, sort of thing. So I think we've got to go match up. McGinn isn't playing; he's injured. He normally plays well against us, but he's out injured. And I think we've got Zagreb midweek. I think that's when we can maybe rest a couple, bring in Marino, and the likes. Bring in maybe Calafiori, bring him back up. So I think it'll be similar team. I think the only change might be Martinelli. And look, we touched on
Marino, to be honest, actually.
You reckon?
To be frank, actually, your comment you reminded me of the existence of Onana in particular did make me think about that, because realistically, he should be one of the guys that we look to go and take on those kind of midfields. But yeah, I mean, that's maybe the only two. Marino, Martinelli, I think is 100% right. We've seen that a million times. Martinelli comes out, Martinelli goes back in.
Yeah,
Marino's the other one that I think could come. And I'll be about 60-70% on that, I reckon.
Yeah, maybe fatigue, maybe that's fine. So that we'll see. But you're right, we're limited with choices, so it's only going to be one or two changes. I can't see Calafiori coming in for MLS. MLS is doing too well, and maybe again the European game is a more comfy environment to bring Calafiori back if you want to bring him back in and give MLS a rest. And because you've got to think about, is it City the week? No, who is it the week after? But anyway, so look, in terms of Villa can be good, but they can also sometimes good, sometimes shit. But it seems to be mostly their form has dropped after Champions League games. They've not done well, and that's when they particularly suffer. And also their away form's not brilliant. So they've played 10 away, they've won 4, drawn 1, they've lost 5, -7 goal difference away from home, which in contrast to their home form, they've only lost once at home, drawn a few. And their recent results, if we're going back to December, they lost to Chelsea, lost to Villa, lost to Newcastle, all away. But beating Brentford, beating Southampton, beating City, beating Leicester at home. Okay. And then they drew against Brighton at home. Okay, granted, they played Everton last night and won 1-0. And actually, I did I watched the extended highlights from that. And they're okay. I think some of it was Everton. Some of it was Villa, so there isn't anything they can be a good side, but away from home, their form isn't great. They're sitting in 7th on 35 points, along with Man City, 1 ahead of Bournemouth, 2 behind Chelsea, 3 behind Newcastle. So yeah, and they're going to be more traditional. I would suggest against us. It's not going to be like Tottenham. It's not going to be like these massive open spaces. It's going to be what I think we're more used to. So we need to take our chances. We need to create and take our chances. So I think it'll be a tough game. I said they've got some dangerous players. Watkins is there, Ramsey's there. They're big units in central defence. So that's why I think is more likely Havertz. So they're missing McGinn, Torres, Barkley, and Carlos. Diego Carlos from injury. He might be doubtful. He might play. He might not. Well, I don't know too much about him. But McGinn, I think, is a miss. Torres is a miss, and Barkley, I think, he's a substitution. So again, I think it's going to be tough. I think we need the crowd behind us. Whatever happens, we just got to stay strong. But again, it's another must-win game. We need those 3 points. We need to keep putting the pressure on. Liverpool will be playing Brentford at 3:00. So maybe Brentford can do us another favour. They're doing fantastic at the moment. I mean, had a great comeback draw against City from 2-0 down. So who knows? Liverpool 2 away games, quick succession. There we go. So what's your prediction? What's your prediction?
So I'm going to put aside the fact that I'm worried about the fact it's Villa and think about their away form in particular. They've lost 4 of the last 5 on the road, and some of those have been, 2 of them have been 3-0 Amarins as well. So I'm going to go with a cheeky 2-0. I'm going to back the boys to get a clean sheet and see what happens. Also, as well, by the way, before you make your prediction, if you're not going to, I think you're going to have to mention Moz at this stage of the podcast. Otherwise,
I try not to talk about Moz at the best of times. Go on. Why are we bringing that fella into the
Well, just
conversation?
he was very, very, very excited last night when I saw him about the fact that he called out the 2-1 win and Tottenham to score first, and then Arsenal would go and pull the two of them back. He was very, very pleased as punch with himself.
I think I replied in the group chat, if you throw enough shit, some of it sticks. So, if you make enough predictions, one of them's about to come right. No, well done, Moz. Very well predicted. It's about time you got one right, because everything else has been terrible up to this point. And I'm still 3-1 up on you then anyway. So, but thank you for that, Jamie. My prediction. My heart says 2-1. As much as I want that comfy win, my heart says 2-1. My head says 1-1, 2-2. So somewhere in between. Somewhere in between. I don't think we're losing.
Sorry, was that somewhere in between 2-1 and a draw?
Yeah, so
I'm
I don't think
going to put it out there. Decimal points don't figure into any.
we're going to win on corners. If it's a draw, we win. If it's a draw, we're winning on corners. Yeah, I don't think we're going to lose. I cannot say I'm 100%. I'm like 70, 30, 60, 40 on us winning or something like that. So that's where I am. So if I'm going to make a positive prediction, I'm saying 2-1. As in, because of the threat, because of what's happening to us at the moment. It would be nice if all of a sudden the dam broke, we take our chances and it's a 4-5-0. But I don't think that's who Villa are, and I don't think it's who we are at the moment. So I'll take a win any which way it comes. So there we go. I think this might be a record pod, and if you're still listening, well done. an hour and 20 in, but it was the North London derby. We did win. So, you've got to enjoy these moments. You've got to talk about them, because it's been a bit crap recently. So it was nice to be talking positively about that. So look, as always, thank you, Jamie, for your thoughts and your words.
Cheers, Tabs.
And look, you can follow us on the on Threads and Blue Sky at the Grove AFC. I've decided not to call us the Horseshoe of Death, given the North London result. So that's a positive. So, and the next show will be out post Villa, pre Zagreb, Sunday most probably. So there we go. So look, thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the comments, feedback, and the interaction online. And all that leaves me to say is until the next time, come on, you Gunners.